One of the things you've written about is the way in which housing has become an investment market rather than a human right, which I just think is so critical to discuss.
Yeah, well, that's right. And I think that it became an investment market after 2000 when the Howard government halved the capital gains tax. And I think that the halving of the capital gains tax wasn't a big deal in itself, sort of arithmetically, because that's not a big change from the previous situation. But I think what it did is change people's thinking about housing and the psychology of housing towards being an investment market. And actually, it's been a fantastic investment market. And the other reason it's really popular as an investment is because housing never crashes. I mean, other markets, the share market, sometimes falls by 50%. But the housing market has only ever fallen by 10%.
Yeah.
And even in the recessions, it falls by 6%. It's fallen by 6% in the recession. So, I mean, it's a very popular investment market for that reason.
What are some of the solutions being put on the table by the government and the opposition as we look towards the election?
Well, the government is going for densification, and that's supported by the state governments. So the state governments in New South Wales and Victoria, at least, have given councils targets for the number of housing approvals to achieve over the next 5 years and over the next 25 years, to be honest. But they're giving councils these targets. They've got a 1.2 million target for the number of homes to be released in the next 5 years. And these are mostly, not entirely, but mostly to be built in existing suburbs and by raising height limits to 6 or 8 stories. That's the plan. And so what we're focused on in the 730 piece is, to some extent, is what does this density mean? What's it mean for the existing residents? What do they think about it? And secondly, do people really want to bring up their families in apartments? And so there's a kind of, and I'm saying that this is a big change for Australia to have. We're moving into apartments as opposed to, houses on large blocks with grass front and back. I mean, this is a big change.
Yeah, it's a different way to live. A lot of people in other cities around the world live that way, but as you say, certainly a change for Australians. The government set a lot of housing targets. They're aspirational targets. You've written about this also in your piece. Why don't they seem to get met, Alan?
Oh, well, because they're mostly just announcements in election campaign speeches, and they're round numbers. They come up with a round number that sounds big, but really, if we're going to deal with the housing affordability crisis, what we need is a long period of an oversupply of housing to suppress prices, right? But the trouble is that most voters own a house, and so the government doesn't really want to do that because that would piss off voters, because the value of their house would decline or stay still for a while. But that's what's required. So I don't think there's really the stomach politically to deal with it, to do that, to actually cause house prices to go down or even flatline.